All right, so let's talk about this one, Charles. You were actually on the program several months ago, and we actually talked about Amendment 4, and you heard one of the ladies say there that there were over 1 million signatures to get this on the ballot. So talk to us about Amendment 4, and how likely do you think this is going to be passed for folks who say, you know what, we've done our time. We've paid our debt to society.
I think there's a reasonable chance it will be passed. That it gets a majority vote is not a question. A majority of Floridians feel that the current system is inadequate and probably simply just wrong. That somebody who steals $350 worth of toys could be barred from voting for the rest of their life. Again, this is after they spent all the time in jail that they're assigned, all the probation, paid restitution. They got to be totally clean and have paid their debt to society. But under the current rules, that doesn't matter. The question is going to be, will it get over 60% of the vote? There are a lot of people supporting it. I think there are a lot of people who are going to come out to vote in particular because of this amendment, which was possibly part of what's driving up the early voting, for example. If there was a legitimate process by which to offer clemency, which is to say that you do your time, you petition, there's a reasonable process for which people can say, I'm clean, I'm sober, I'm a good citizen, yes, you can vote again. This may not be an issue. But in Florida, that isn't what happens. The governor gets up and basically says, I can decide based on what I had for lunch this morning, or breakfast this morning.
It's arbitrary.
Totally arbitrary.
Yeah.
He's out and out says that. And in fact, a federal court has ruled that the process of clemency under the current system is unconstitutional.
Okay, we're going to move on. Let's talk about Amendment 3. Brian, that one says giving voters control of gambling in Florida. It seems at face value, this is a pretty easy one. Yeah, let's be in control, but what's the controversy here?
Well, in one sense, it actually has nothing to do with the voters. This is Disney and the Seminoles who want to protect their interest, trying to make it a little harder for Florida to bring new gambling into the system. And while we've had gambling for decades in this state in various forms, there's always a little battle going on between those who already have gambling and the Disneys of the world who'd prefer to have money being spent by tourists on things other than gambling. So the Disney and the Seminole Tribe have put $36 million into this campaign to try to stop this amendment. One of the new players in this, which is interesting, that's behind helping to push this, is the sports betting industry. That's new, and these sports betting firms, we have a $250 million industry in sports betting in Florida now, and they would dearly like to see this amendment fail.
All right, so let's move on now to another amendment that a lot of people are talking about. A little bit of confusion, Sean. This is Amendment 6. This is the one for the crime victims' rights. It would also change things related to judges. So walk us through this one and explain it.
Yes, this has 3 parts, which is a problem with many of these amendments. They bundle things that may not be related to each other. So the third part is it's mandatory for Florida Supreme Court justices to retire at age 70. This would increase it to 75. People can think what they want about that issue, but it's bundled in with a technical issue is that right now courts usually defer to administrative agencies making rulings on regulations. And this is from an old Supreme Court decision known as the Chevron precedent. So there are people who believe that the court should have the final word and overturn administrative agencies more often than they do. So this would require that. People aren't talking about it.
That's not clear.
Not clear at all.
Yeah.
And at the top of this is what's known as the victims' rights, the so-called Marsy's law that is passed in California and other states that would give specific rights to victims of a crime. Defendants have rights under the Bill of Rights. The argument is that that the victim may not be informed of hearings or if somebody is being transferred to a different facility or even released from prison. So this would require the government to inform the victim of various steps along the way. Many of those are already rights that are established by law. So the opponents say that we don't need an amendment to do this, and it may even lead to a reduction of rights of those who are accused of a crime.
Okay, so it might be redundant is what some folks are saying.
Yes.
All right.